Good morning, Bhargav. It's Wednesday, the 22nd of February. Here's the heads up brief for today. For the Southeast Asia production, we covered 18 issues. In North Asia, we covered 8. And for the Australasia and Pacific Islands, we covered 6 issues. In South Asia, we covered 18 issues, plus the major issues in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region.
Hello there. So which are the major issues do you see in all the things you covered?
Right, Bhargav. So in Indonesia, the Corruption Eradication Commission confiscated assets worth over $1 million from the former Central Mamberamo regent, Ricky Ham Pegawak. Ricky is accused of embezzling about $13 million during his tenure as a regent.
So that's interesting, and that's a big amount as well. Do you see this issue spreading across Papua region, and do you think this will have its implications on the security and political landscape? Does he have enough influence for that?
Him personally, he's not as popular as, the Papuan governor who was arrested last year by the KPK, the Corruption Eradication Commission, but it definitely does have security and political implications, Bhargav. It adds to the perception that, Papuans feel that Jakarta targets Papuan leadership. This is seen by the fact that most politicians in Indonesia, from the governor to, the region levels and lower, are suspected of corruption. So they see these as politically motivated, and there could be protests in Papua as the case progresses too.
Okay, they will keep an eye on the protests or any further implications from the arrest.
Sure.
So please update me on that later today.
Sure. Moving over to Malaysia, 5 members of the United Malay Nationalist Organization defected from the party, and they joined the Gagasan Rakyat Party. So this has weakened the UMNO government in Sabah, but it will strengthen the current Sabah Chief Minister Haji Jinul.
All right.
Right. In Thailand, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha said that the House of Representatives will be dissolved in early March, so that the elections will be held as per the current expected schedule around May the 7th.
That's interesting, Uday. We have issued an advisory on that. However, do you see this escalating political tensions and more rallies on the ground?
Definitely. I mean, unofficial campaigning has already started. In fact, people have criticized the House Speaker, and people in Parliament have criticized the fact that there's no decorum in Parliament because all the members are out on campaign stops, So the politicking will increase. And it's interesting that Prayut has made the statement at this point. It shows that his party is not ready. They're still trying to canvass support from MPs of other parties, and there's a lot of horse trading that's going on at this point. So that will continue until the House is dissolved.
Okay, we will assess this as things evolve. Thank you there.
Yeah. Also in Thailand, in the Deep South, a suspected bomb maker was killed by security forces in Yala province yesterday. The suspect was involved in last week's attack, which killed 1 policeman and injured 4 police officers in Yala also.
All right.
Okay, moving over to South Asia. In India, authorities have tightened security in Nagaland ahead of the state assembly elections on the 27th of February. Home Minister Amit Shah said the Armed Forces Special Powers Act will be removed from the state in 3 to 4 years. This is a very controversial act. Bhargav, maybe you could touch a bit on this and the polls.
Yes, so the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, or AFSPA, is extremely sensitive, especially in Kashmir and in the Northeast. In Kashmir, it is unlikely to be withdrawn, as the state was divided a couple of years ago, and it's directly under the central control. But in the Northeast, the current incumbent government in the center, that's Delhi, has been trying to appease the people at the ground level and trying to get traction at the state level assemblies. and that is quite critical. If we were to note, Tripura, they withdrew AFSPA a few years ago, and they were able to gain a ground in the state level politics. In fact, CPIM happened to be the dominant party, but they dislodged them in the previous two assembly elections. And there are deeper political implications of the withdrawal, and it's probably a positive move in the larger security perspective, if I may say so, because AFSP has been the bone of contention among the local groups. They may or may not be part of the militias or the terror groups, but that this is one area where people have hated the central government both at a social as well as a political level. So if such progressive withdrawal does happen, then it'll have a positive implication on the overall security security paradigm. So we'll have to see if they actually withdraw.
Yeah, so do you think it's more of a political statement at this point, considering that Nagaland
Yes.
still has a lot of insecurity?
See, we need to note here, Nagaland is unlike any other state in India. Their separatist militia have a parallel government running. The only way of legitimizing the central government and the BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, the incumbent government, is by appeasing the people on the ground, telling them the legitimate government is the Delhi government and not the parallel separatist government of Naga rebels. If I may add that it is NSCN, the rebel group, which actually rules the roost. And there were multiple agreements with the NSCN. It is certainly a political statement. At the same time, there are deeper security implications along with the political gains to be made for BJP.
Right. Thanks a lot, Bhargav. Also in India, hundreds of Bajrang Dal supporters blocked the Delhi-Jaipur highway in Haryana. This was to protest against the police who are investigating a member of the Bajrang Dal who is also connected to the RSS and the BJP, who has led attacks on minorities that resulted in the deaths of 2 people recently.
Right. This basically brings the limelight to these rogue elements such as Bajrang Dal. They are basically fringe elements which are part of the ruling right-wing groups, including BJP. BJP may officially distance themselves from such groups, but they use them as a proxy to do their bidding at the ground level, basically increasing this polarization and radicalization among communities. And it takes a very political angle when they are brought under scanner by opposition parties in power in state governments such as Rajasthan, whereas the neighboring Haryana is under the BJP. So there will be friction between the two departments depending on where the crime took place and where he is being investigated. So Bajrang Dal will do their dance, and if it's Rajasthan, they may actually hold some protests. If it's in Haryana, they are going to snub them at police as well as the party level. So we'll have to see how this evolves. This has a potential of going out of hand if they do not really control it at the ground level.
Right. We'll keep an eye out on this, but the case is registered in Rajasthan as the murders took place there, so that's why Rajasthan police are after them. And like you said, that's a Congress-ruled state.
Yes.
Right. Moving over to Pakistan, officials in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa said that extortion was funding the operations of terrorists. According to an unidentified official, terrorists' demands had totaled nearly $4 million in recent months. The official also said that people are scared to file reports because they're scared of retaliatory attacks. The government is also restructuring the counterterrorism department and creating a counter-extremism unit also in light of the resurgence of terrorism in Pakistan.
This is looking more like 2007 when they launched an all-out assault on TTP and their affiliates in the valley, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa valley. And extortion is part of their revenue stream. They're not going to let it go. Otherwise, how will they fund their nefarious activities? So until and unless the security as well as political establishments ensure their control over such troubled areas, things are not going to get better, and we can't even rule out local businesses as well as foreign businesses being targeted for such ransom. So we'll have to keep eye on this.
Right. Lastly, in South Asia, in Sri Lanka, tensions are increasing as the government seems to be delaying the upcoming local government polls scheduled for early March. Now, the Election Commission is saying that it doesn't have the funds to hold the polls and the Treasury is not releasing it. The government has also said that it doesn't have the funds. It's blamed the economy. But this comes after the government spent the most it had on the Independence Day parade in the last few years, at the start of February.
Okay.
Right. Lastly, in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region, Putin made a very notable speech yesterday. So apart from the narrative that Russia has against the West, Putin interestingly canceled a decree that accounts for Moldova's sovereignty in a disputed region. This is a region where Russian separatists hold land. So the decree, which was signed in 2012, committed Russia to seek ways to resolve the issue based on a respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Moldova. But tensions have increased recently after a pro-Western government came into power in Moldova. Putin has also submitted a law to suspend participation in a nuclear arms agreement.
All right, that's interesting, Uday.
Yep. That's the brief for today. Bhargav, anything else from you?
Nothing else from my end. Thank you for the brief. Thank you.
Thanks.